Hey Reddit. I need to get this off my chest, so buckle up, this is going to be a long one. About 6 months ago, my best friend Mark asked me to be his best man. I was thrilled. Mark and I have been friends since elementary school, so there was no way I could say no. Plus, his fiancée, Sarah, is a wonderful person, and I was genuinely happy for both of them. Little did I know, this wedding would turn into the most chaotic event I've ever been a part of. Everything started off smoothly. Mark and Sarah decided to have a rustic wedding in a beautiful countryside barn. They wanted everything to be perfect, so they went all out on the preparations. I was involved in a lot of it, picking up decorations, helping with the seating chart, and even taste testing the menu. It was a lot of work, but I was happy to help. The first sign of trouble came at the rehearsal dinner. Sarah's parents, who had always been a bit overbearing, got into a huge argument with Mark's parents over the seating arrangements. It escalated to the point where Sarah's dad stormed out, vowing not to attend the wedding. Sarah was in tears, and Mark was trying to calm her down. We all thought things would blow over by the next day, but we were wrong. The wedding day arrived, and it started off beautifully. The weather was perfect, and the barn was decorated to perfection. But then, disaster struck. The caterer called to say they had a major issue with their kitchen and couldn't deliver the food. With only a few hours to go, we scrambled to find a solution. We ended up ordering a massive amount of food from a local deli, which wasn't ideal, but it was better than nothing. Despite the catering mishap, the ceremony began without a hitch. Mark and Sarah looked radiant, and for a brief moment, everything seemed perfect. But then, in the middle of the vows, Sarah's ex-boyfriend, who we didn't even know was in town, showed up drunk and started yelling about how Sarah was making a huge mistake. He had to be escorted out by some of Mark's cousins, causing quite a scene. After the ceremony, we moved on to the reception, hoping the worst was behind us. How wrong we were. The band, which had come highly recommended, turned out to be terrible. They didn't know half the songs they were supposed to play and ended up butchering the first dance song. To make matters worse, one of the guests had a bit too much to drink and decided to take over the mic, leading to an impromptu and terrible karaoke session. Just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. During the cake cutting, a stray dog somehow got into the barn and made a beeline for the cake. Before anyone could stop it, the dog had its face in the cake, ruining it completely. Sarah was on the verge of a breakdown, and Mark looked like he wanted to punch something. The rest of the night was a blur of trying to salvage what we could of the evening. Despite everything, Mark and Sarah managed to keep smiling and thanked everyone for coming. They even laughed off some of the mishaps, which I admired them for. By the end of the night, we were all exhausted, but we had survived the most chaotic wedding ever. Update: 6 months later. I wanted to give you all an update on what's happened since the wedding. After that chaotic day, I think we all needed some time to recover. But believe it or not, some good things came out of it. First of all, Mark and Sarah are doing great. They decided to take a redo a honeymoon a few months after the wedding, going to a quiet island resort where they could finally relax without any drama. They came back refreshed and happier than ever. They also managed to find the humor in everything that went wrong. They even have the dog that ruined their wedding cake. They adopted it and named it Chaos, fittingly. The feud between Sarah's and Mark's parents has mostly settled down. They all agreed to put their differences aside for the sake of the newlyweds. We had a few awkward family dinners, but eventually, everyone started to get along better. Sarah's dad even apologized for his outburst at the rehearsal dinner. Sarah's ex-boyfriend's appearance at the wedding was definitely a low point, but it led to something unexpected. He reached out to Sarah afterward to apologize for his behavior. It turns out he was going through a tough time and was struggling with alcoholism. His outburst at the wedding was a wake-up call for him, and he's since sought help and is now in recovery. Sarah and Mark have forgiven him, and he's even become friends with them again, albeit from a safe distance. The band that ruined the first dance song and the karaoke debacle? They actually reached out to apologize as well. They admitted they were unprepared and refunded part of the money. They even offered to play a private concert for Mark and Sarah, which they turned down, but it was a nice gesture. As for the dog, Chaos has become a beloved member of the family. He's incredibly sweet and has been a great source of joy for Mark and Sarah. They joke that despite everything that went wrong, getting Chaos was the best part of their wedding day. On a personal note, being the best man at such a chaotic wedding taught me a lot about patience and perseverance. I'm still single, but the experience has given me some perspective on what really matters in life and relationships. I've also become closer to Mark and Sarah, and I'm grateful for that. Mark and Sarah are planning a small, intimate vow renewal ceremony for their 1-year anniversary, just to celebrate their love without the chaos. They've asked me to be a part of it, and I'm honored to stand by their side once again. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Life can be unpredictable, but sometimes, the chaos leads to unexpected joys. If you have any crazy wedding stories, I'd love to hear them. Take care, everyone.